Maybe I should go. My name is Bade.
Okay.
I'm CTO and co-founder of Social Lender. I'm here as a facilitator in this session. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for introducing yourself, sir. We're happy to have you in our midst. All right. Thanks, Shukra. Is Sami joining now? Let's hold on a bit for Sami to join. I think the network is giving us a lot of problem over here. All right. While others are still trying to join, I would want to give us a brief overview of what Labs by Bincom is. Right. All right. Thank you, Shukra. Is Sami joining now? All right. So when I mean overview, I would like to just take us through the details of Labs by Bincom, what we expect from you, what you should expect from us, and a brief explanation of what we do in Labs by Bincom. All right. Shukrat, is your network stable now? I want one more person to introduce themselves before I get started.
My network is better now. Good evening, sir.
All right. Good evening.
Olaiwola Shukrat. I am a product designer or UI UX designer. I just finished youth service. I'm currently unemployed. I think that's it.
All right. You're welcome, Shukrat. That employment status is about to change. All right. You're welcome to Labs by Bincom. So briefly, I'll be going through the Bincom, right? So I'll be sharing my screen. Once you can see my screen, please do let me know. So just give me a few seconds to do that. All right, let me know if you can see my screen now. If you can see my screen, say aye. If you cannot see it,
aye.
All right, one more person.
I can see your screen.
All right, so let me just make this slideshow so that it can be very visible. All right, so we're good to go. All right, so welcome to Labs by Bincom. What is Labs by Bincom? Labs by Bincom is a 3 to 6 months program that brings participants like you together to build a product-led digital technology startup. You'll be working as a team, not as individuals. I want to note that. Very, very important. You'll be working as a team, not as an individual. So it is important you bring all your skill sets, your experience together as a team to build this product-led digital technology startup. And trust me, these products to be building needs to be used by people, by real life users, not just a product you build and you would not test, right? Okay, so what is in for you is an active program with real life projects where you can also, as a student, if you need an IT placement, this is the program for you. You can also include it as a work experience in your CV and also learning in-demand tech skills. So we should join from the different participants that have introduced yourself. You can start it open for everybody, right? IT students, NYC member, post-NYC member, undergraduate, tech professional, freelancers, etc. You are welcome to Labs by Bincom. All right, so these are some of the career tracks that would be needed in Labs by Bincom, right? Some things might contain, or most things will not contain all of these, but some things will contain some of this career track. All right, so how it works, like I said, is a 3 to 6 months program. You'll be divided into a team of between 3 and 10 members each. team will be allotted a mentor. We have 4 stages in labs by Bincom. The very preliminary stage is what we are having now, right? And stage 1 will be where you would be onboarded properly into labs by Bincom, and you'll be expected to create your product document. When I mean product documents, right, I mean you and your team will be working on the product you would be creating during labs by Bincom. Then at the end of stage 2, right, that is where you'll be executing the project. If you need to build an app, a website, etc., this is where you will be building it. And stage 3 is when you'll be testing this product with people. All right, they give you feedback and you can improve your minimum viable product. All right, so what does it involve? You need to be committed. If you are thinking this is a program where you would just come and ghost, no, we would not allow that. All right, we have 3 different performance tracking metrics we would be using, both from the personal to the individual and even through your mentors. So that reminds me, each team will be allotted a mentor. All right, you'll be allotted a mentor. Each team would guide you as you build your product. But note, your team mentor's job is not to build your product for you. Your team mentor's job is to guide you. Building the product is the job of the team. Now, I wrote something in red. Would somebody like to read it for me? Anybody who would like to read it for me? If you can see my screen, it's in red down. Anybody, or should I call names? Anybody who would like to read it for me?
Do not invest in any idea is not wish to be in the public domain in a labs by Bincom company.
All right, thank you. So let me elaborate briefly on that. So in labs by Bincom, right, nobody owns whatever idea you bring or whatever product you are building. Meaning, when you bring in your idea and you start building, Sammy cannot say, oh, I want to go and register this company with CAC. This is my own in my name. No, you cannot do that. All companies will be registered as a labs by Bincom company or a labs by Bincom startup. All right. So please have that in mind. So if you have a childhood dream of building a particular solution or a product or an app, if you have that dream, a childhood dream, right, and you don't want anybody to steal the idea from you, please do not bring it here, right? Do not bring it here. All right. That being said, like I said, the program would, for you to be able to participate in this program, you need to be on our Slack channel. We have a Bincom Tech Network Slack channel where you'll be added to you would have a channel for your team where you can conversate, you can discuss, you can plan with your team, you can fix meetings with your other team members. All right, please have that in mind. So everybody would be added to the Slack channel after this meeting. Please have that in mind also. Okay, so quickly moving on, what we expect from you, you need to be committed. Like I said, you cannot just ghost labs by Bincom. We would know. Like I said, we have 3 methods of tracking each participant. So we would know if you are involved in your team or you are not. All right. What you should expect from us, we provide a platform where you can practicalize your skill set, collaborate with other career tracks, and expose to quality mentorship. Like I said, your team would be allotted a mentor that would guide you all the way. I already spoke about the 3 stages of the program. All right. So please bear that in mind. Okay, yeah, cross-functional team. Details of this will be discussed as we move in the program. I already spoke about your Cohort mentor. Participation tracking, I already spoke about this. Right, very importantly, while you're creating your startup, we would not advise you to spend any amount of money while creating, but if you will at all spend any amount, you can't spend more than 100,000 naira. All right, I think that should be around, in dollars, that should be, how much would that be in dollars? So
we say $300. You can't spend more than $300.
Exactly. You can't spend more than $300, all right, on your product. So we employ you to use other means, free solutions, credit tools, free 30-day trial for some of your tools and all that while creating your startup, your products. And if you would be spending at all, the team will be funding it. All right, so we have a curriculum, which is one of the ways we'll track progress for each participant. This curriculum is a training course, which is called the Digital Business Academy, right? You'll be going through this training course, all right, all through the duration of this program, all right? And we expect you to complete this course within the first 2 months. So these are some details in the course. We'll be having a breakout session after this meeting. So these are some FAQs. I'll just go through them, right? Sorry, give me a moment. Okay, so how long is this program? It's 3 to 6 months. Minimum of 3 months, maximum of 6 months. Within 3 months, we expect you to have built your product. And remaining 3 months, if you have tested the product and you need to make some adjustments, you guys need to make some decisions. That is where you'll be doing that. Do you need to be an expert to start? Definitely not. You can learn these skills as you move in the program. What if your team member drops out? We'll get into the details of that as we go into the program. Can I make the startup part of my work experience? Definitely, you can add it as your CV, provided you played a very major role in your team, not that you don't attend meetings or you don't even meet with your mentors. That we will not accept. How would I include information about my startup in my portfolio? Of course, your startup will be in the public domain, so you can always put the link to probably the app, website, etc. What happens after a 6-month program? We'll get into the details of that as we move on. Can Labs by Bincom be regarded as a school internship program? Yes, it can. I don't know anything about building a startup. That is why you are here. So if you don't have an idea of what it takes to build a startup, that is why Labs by Bincom is here for you. All right. Who will fund the project? I already spoke about this. What if we want to spend more than 100,000 naira? That will be after Labs by Bincom, when you get into the Bincom incubator program. But we'll get into the details of that as you move along the program. Can we upgrade our startup to the incubator level? Yes. After the 3 to 6 months, and you meet some criteria that you'll be exposed to as we move on. All right. Let me stop sharing my screen. I know some of you have questions already, right? You can note these questions down, right? You can note these questions down, right? So that it will be handled later on. All right, so quickly, I would want to invite our facilitator, in person of Mr. Bade Adesemowo. Right, you are welcome, sir, in our midst.
Thank you, Larry. I appreciate the invite. Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning or good evening, depending on where you're joining from. My name is Bade Adesemowo. I'm CTO and co-founder of Social Lender. It's a startup that focuses on alternative credit scoring. We focus on that by delivering a new way of measuring trust for organizations using what we call the social reputation score. We currently run mostly in Nigeria with a lot of work going on in the UK and also in South Africa. The company name is Social Lender, and I will just be sharing within the next couple of minutes. I wasn't told how long I have, but I'm sure they will drop that to me in the chat. But I'll be sharing within the next couple of minutes what it means to build a startup, and particularly just giving you a quick intro into the Technation Digital Business Academy, which is the course that has been adopted for this Labs by Bincom program. All right. But just to mention to everyone again, this is a video session. And so I require and I request that please switch on your video. I would like to see the people I'm speaking with. At the same time, I'm hoping that you'll be able to ask questions and all as well. So let's start from there. I'm not sure what level we are in the room. And so hopefully with this bit of discussion, it would help us to start understanding that. And so the question is that, what is a startup? Can you give me an example of a startup? Why should people build startups? So I put 3 questions together, and I'm hoping everyone in the room will be able to say something. We'll take a couple basically. Anyone can start. I believe you can unmute yourself. What is a startup? Give me an example of a startup, and then why is it good to build a startup? Anyone can start. If I don't get a volunteer, I will volunteer you. All right, then. No one is volunteering. So Adam Adeboale, let's start with you. I'm hoping as many people on this call as possible will speak. Yeah. Adam Adeboale, are you unmuting yourself? Oh, you've unmuted, but we still can't hear you. Check your mic. Let me go to someone else while we come back. Silver Code. Yeah. What is a startup? Give me an example of a startup and why should you build a startup? We can't hear you as well. Hope it's not my mic. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Silva, please unmute yourself. You are currently
Okay, sorry.
Okay, fantastic. We hear you too, Adam.
Can you hear me now?
I'll come back to you, Adam Adeboale. Silver Code, you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. So a startup is actually a new established business. So it's like a new company that is just coming up. So I think basically that's what I understand what a startup means.
Okay, a new company just coming up. All right.
Yes.
Okay. All right. An example of a startup that you know. And then
Okay, an example of a startup that I know is as a company is BIM.
Okay.
BAM.
Okay. What do they do? Never heard of them. What do they
Okay, they are actually a OKR product management company. They built an app that's an OKR app that is being used by companies to manage their products. So that's a product management tool, just like 15.5.
Okay. All right. And then why should we build startups?
Okay, startup is built basically because all startups have a distinguished difference, and majorly the focus is to actually meet the demands of humans.
So to solve a problem, right?
Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Adam Adeboale. And then in terms of, Silver Code, in terms of your level of experience, how many years of experience do you have? Have you worked in startups before?
Okay, yes, I have been a product manager for 1.5 years. Then I've also been a software developer for 2.5 years.
Okay, fantastic. All right, fantastic. And so we're looking forward to seeing a lot from you during this period. All right, let me go to Adam Adeboale. What is a startup? Why should we build startups? And give me an example of a startup. We can't hear you. Okay, so Adam Adeboale, you're on mute. Can you unmute yourself and try again?
Excellent.
Okay. His network isn't doing very well. Let's try Sammy. Sammy, same question.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Sammy.
All right.
I said my name is Sammy.
Go ahead, Sammy.
Okay, from what I understand about startup, it's basically an IT-based or ICT-based setup put in order to meet the needs of humans.
Okay.
To meet human needs. An example of a startup can be an IT company, it can be a program development company, coding, stuff like that.
Okay. All right. And why should we build startups?
The core reason to build startup is to meet human needs.
Okay. All right then. I'll give you a bit of information from my own perspective. Nobody has been absolutely wrong in terms of what you've said, but I'm not sure everyone hit the nail on the head. And so I'm going to start from the Wikipedia entry on startup company. If you're familiar with Wikipedia, you understand that many people from all over the world have worked together to try and put together some sort of definition. And so you would say a startup is a company basically done by an entrepreneur with the potential to scale. So you need to be solving a problem and you need to have a potential to scale as a startup. Not every entrepreneurship can be regarded as a startup, right? Because for a startup, they generally have this potential to say is going to grow. That yes, let me start from 2 people today, but then I can be doing 4 tomorrow. Then I'm doing 16 after. Then I'm doing 64. Then I'm doing 256. Then I'm doing in thousands. Then in millions. Then in hundreds of millions. In billions. In trillions, and so on. That's what a startup is, because you can grow. And those numbers I mentioned, it could be revenue, it could be number of users, it could be people impacted. It doesn't matter. The key point is that the fact that you've seen a problem, you can build a solution to solve the problem, and that solution can grow. That is what we generally regard as a startup in the industry. However, I would point out that for Labs by Bincom, it has to be tech-enabled digital technology company or digital technology startup, right? So we are not asking you to come and build a startup for you to say, oh, we are going to export rice to Ghana. That is a company, yes, but that isn't a startup per se, but that is certainly not tech-enabled digital business. So yes, find a problem, which is one of the key things that you would do together as a cohort, as a group within these Labs by Bincom program. And then you will be asked to build a technology product that will solve that problem. And then you'll be asked to go to market with that product, sell it to real life customers that would actually use it. Please bear in mind that for Labs by Bincom, you are not just building a local host. You are going to build with your team a solution to a problem, but then that solution to the problem, you need to ensure that it can be sold to real life customers. And you have time boxed to do it. You have time boxed to do it within the space of 3 months. And I'm sure the program coordinator, Damilare, will speak a lot more to you around how it is structured, what you need to do from every stage of the way. We understand that many of us in the room may be beginners, either beginners in the field of technology totally, or beginners in the field of building startups, or you are looking for a cohort or a group of people to do this with, right? Whichever category you fall in, you are falling into a cross-functional team. And that cross-functional team is going to be like the daddy and mommy to this baby, which is the startup that you are building to solve a problem. Important thing to understand is that from a startup perspective, there's a lot to learn. This is an industry. This is something that has been going on for many, many, many years, right? And so, yes, you may be new to this, or you may have been in this for a bit, but there's more that you can learn from participating in this cohort. One more thing I will say about your startup is that the industry understands that startups have a high rate of failure, but you lose nothing by trying. You lose nothing by trying. Generally speaking, most startups would fail within their first year, right? The industry understands that out of every 10 startups that may start, only 1 will make it past the first year. So the question you may ask yourself is that, so why should I even bother? The reason is because you will be building capacity. You'll be building strength, muscle memory. If you think of it that way, you'll be building all of those things, and the industry recognizes it. The industry recognizes that if you've done this before, whether it was successful or it failed, you can do it again. And which to say the next one you do, the chances of doing it better in the next one is even higher. And there are statistics to back this up. To say most founders are more successful in their second or third startup. So Facebook It was his second or third startup that was so successful that he's now one of the richest people in the world. And there are several of those as well. Some that are also success, right? Different levels of success, and then you keep getting better and keep getting better as all. One more thing I will just mention before I move on from this page is there's a lot to learn around the startup ecosystem. Wikipedia is just a page I opened because it has a lot of information. I would ask you to please read about this. If you don't know what a lean startup is, for example, Google it, read about it, read through this page, go through some of the links. They will be helpful for you. They will be helpful for you to sort of just understand what is it that I'm getting myself into. One more thing I will just mention is also that bear in mind that your startup needs to be solving a problem. So don't build something to solve a problem that does not exist, right? It will be difficult for real life users to want to use it. You need to first identify a problem to say, oh, we have seen that there is this issue, right? And there are several different issues and problems all over that you can solve. It could be a big thing like there are fintech startups, there are investment startups and all of that. It could be a big thing, but it could also be small. To say, I will give you an example of a problem I currently have, and I've had that problem for almost a year or so now, which is my calendar, right? I used to use an app called X.ai, and that was fantastic to use for booking calendars and getting people to book sessions with me. I do a lot of coaching sessions and all of that. I've lost my voice right now, but I do a lot of coaching sessions. And that startup shut down because it was bought by some other company, right? And they said we should go and find a different tool. And I've been trying to use different tools, and they haven't yet fit the exact issue that I have. And so something like that would be a startup that somebody would build eventually that will solve that problem for me. One thing that a lot of people don't think about that makes a lot of money, I even like browser plugins. You can actually build a browser plugin to solve a certain problem. I've seen a browser plugin I've used before, and what it does is that I'm trying to learn French. And what it does is that it will change a few words on my screen to French words, right? And so what happens is that because I'm reading in English and I know English very well, and then it changes something from English to French, I'm able to use that to start learning a little bit around French. Several issues. And no, if you think about some of the things I've talked about, these are things that are happening to me at the moment. And I'm going to come to everyone. So I want you to think about it. What is a problem you currently have that you would like technology to solve? A problem you currently have that you would like technology to solve? Think about it and drop one into the chat. A problem you currently have that technology could solve. It may be crazy, it may be out of this world. The technology may not even yet exist, but just talk about it, because in discussing that with your team members, you may also be able to bring things together to say, oh, I've been thinking about X, I've been thinking about Y, and then you may be able to bring those things together to say, oh, fine, let's build this together. And that's what Labs by Bincom is all about. Something important that Damilare mentioned, but I have to mention it again, is that please, if there's an idea that you have been keeping to say, okay, when I hit my $1 billion and all of that, I'm going to run with this idea. Labs by Bincom is not a place for it. The reason is because everything you build in Labs by Bincom is open source. It belongs to the world. Your code will be in GitHub, meaning that anyone in the world can download your code. Your pitch deck would be out there in the world. Anyone can pick the pitch deck and use it as well. So it doesn't belong to you. So keep it. If it's an idea to say, oh, this one is my prized idea, keep it. Pick your second best idea, your third best idea, your fourth best idea, your fifth best idea, because you must still supply ideas to your cohort, right? But ensure that it's not that one that you have decided that, oh, I'm going to be running with. So a lot of information on this page. And then you would say, oh, I don't know much about building startups, which is why we have adopted the Tech Nation Digital Business Academy. I'm not seeing the messages on the screen. I'm coming to it. I've asked you to please drop in the chat a problem that you currently have that technology can solve? Please drop that in the chat. So the Tech Nation Digital Business Academy is the adopted curriculum for Labs by Bincom. Within your first month in Labs by Bincom, you are required to get this certificate from the Tech Nation Digital Business Academy, and you can put it in your CV as well. It would require you to watch a lot of on-demand videos, and those on-demand videos would teach you some things. So if I say Series A, you should know what I'm talking about. If I say seed round, if I say MVP, you should know what I'm talking about. And yes, I threw a bunch of words out to you, right? Some of us in the room hopefully know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, by the time you are done with this course, you will know what I am speaking about. And so please ensure that you go through the course. It's part of the requirement for the first month of this program. But what I'm going to do with the rest of my time, and if they can just drop in the chat how much time I have left, I'll be happy, is I'm going to just walk you through some of the key things that you have to take note of and some of the key things that you will be aware of in the process of building your tech-enabled digital business, your tech-enabled digital startup. These are some of the things that you should be aware of and you should be thinking about. And of course, these are all part of the curriculum that we are driving. And these are part of the curriculum that you will be learning anyway once you go through the course. It starts with the idea. It starts with the idea, and the idea would become a product, right? And the idea is solving a problem, and the idea would then be built to say, okay, fine, we want to build it into a product. So there are a bunch of things you need to know. How to build a tech for good startup. So this particular curriculum focuses on tech for good, using tech for good, basically, right? And even that keyword is an industry term. What does it mean? If you don't know what it means, by the time you go through this, you would understand it better. You need to also be able to make the basic product to say, okay, fine, this is the idea. Do we need to build it for like 3 years for us to start validating? Agile methodology has said that is not the case anymore. Instead, what you should be doing is that you should be testing gradually to say what can be the minimum viable product. I spoke of the term MVP. It means minimum viable product. What is that minimum viable product to say we can take this into the market, we can get this in the hands of customers, whether our customers are B2B or B2C or B2B2C, right? We advise that if you are doing, and if you don't know what those key terms are, write it down as well. Hopefully some of you have been noting down some of the things I've said so that you can go Google it later. We advise that you focus on business to customer type of product. The reason is because the sales cycle for B2B products is longer than 3 months in many cases. But for B2C, if the product is ready today, you can make me a customer tomorrow. All right. And that's why we think that you should focus on a business to customer kind of product and not a B2B to say, oh, we want to go and sell to an entire school, right? And for you to sell to school, maybe like 10 different people needs to sign before you are able to sell that product to the school. So focus on a B2C type of product. But yes, so the idea and the product, you build the product, you need the people. And what Labs by Bincom has done for you is that you already have the people that you can start with, which are the members of your cohort. You've been distributed as a cohort randomly based on different things that we see within the individuals in the cohort. And then you need the people, but then there are things that you need to start thinking about from a people perspective. Now, operations and finance, we've said that don't spend more than a certain amount of money, but there are some things you should start thinking about as forward thinking to say, if we're going to get past this, but at the very least, for me to understand what will happen past this preliminary stage, we call Labs by Bincom the nursery for startups, basically, right? So it's almost like a nursery school, but then you want to start knowing, okay, fine, these are other things I need to start knowing in the future. Marketing and sales, you're going to do a lot of these during Labs by Bincom, during your 3 months or 6 months if you can make it to the 6 months mark, whichever way, you will need to do a lot of marketing and sales. If you don't know the difference between marketing and sales, that's part of the things you need to learn, and that's part of the things that you will learn in this. But there are several other information that has been put on air. Branding and communication is important as well, and there are several other topics that are air as well. Everything I've shown you right now is part of the curriculum of the Digital Business Academy. What you need to do is that start using that on-demand video to learn the basic skill, and then Labs by Bincom itself is now a ground where you can then do the actual work, the practicals of it. For Labs by Bincom, you can, whatever it is you build, you can actually have in your portfolio. Bincom Dev Center will be the referencing organization for whatever company that you do build. And so there's an organization behind it, which is why you must follow the rules and the guidelines that have been laid off for Labs by Bincom. It can be used for your internship. It can be used for several other things as well. But the key thing is that you will be learning a lot of skills, and you'll be putting those skills into practice. I would say one more time before I come to the chat, and I see a number of people have said some things, but a few people still haven't said. You're supposed to drop in the chat a problem that you have that you believe technology can solve as at this moment. I would say one more thing, which is that for Labs by Bincom, you need to contribute. So you need to contribute. If you say that, oh, I'm just going to sign up and I'm not going to do anything, we expect that you will spend about 20 hours a week on your Labs by Bincom company. So if you don't have that kind of time at this point in your career and at this point in time, right, then you may want to say, I'm not interested in going further, because your startup will require that time. Labs by Bincom have said, do not spend money. If you are going to raise money among yourself, you are not allowed to spend more than $300 or 100,000 naira. If you want to spend, even that $300, you have to raise it amongst yourself within your cohort, even if you need to spend that money. What we say is that instead of paying for hosting, get free credit from Heroku, Google, Azure, and so on. Instead of paying for digital marketing, to start with the free trials, use the free ones. Instead of paying for Photoshop, use Canva, use other tools that are available. Instead of paying for the video marketing tools, use the ones that are available. Of course, your developers will be part of your cohort, or you can invite friends to come and help with the development and all of that. So spend time instead of spending money. And so for you to be able to spend that time, you need to be able to commit time to your startup. Our estimate is you will need about 20 hours. So even if you work full time, you are still able to contribute in the Labs by Bincom cohort. However, if you do not think you can commit that amount of time to your team, to your startup, then why bother? Because we won't be able to allow you continue if we see that you are not able to dedicate the time that your team needs. So I'm just going to check in the chat now and then talk about some of the things. So someone says an app to connect farmers and buyers and a kind of agro e-commerce. So yes, this sounds interesting, right? And it sounds like a problem that needs to be solved. What you may want to be careful about if you want to run with this in Labs by Bincom is, do you have ready access to the farmers? Because it may be best for you to find things that you already have a ready access to the customer in one way or the other. Because if you are trying to then start building relationship with the farmers and then going from there, it may take a bit of time, and you only have 3 months from a Labs by Bincom perspective. Tourism, giving information on what you need, lifestyle, and all of that. I'm not sure if this is a startup or this is just a blog, right? Think about it. Is this just a blog? If it's a blog, is it really a startup? Right? I don't know, but you may want to think about that. Somebody says where students in schools can easily book seats in the school shuttle at their convenience. So this one is likely going to be a B2B2C. And the reason for that is because the shuttle buses, you need to have a contract with the shuttle buses to say, when my student book, you need to reserve space for them. So it may not be the best one for a Labs by Bincom cohort, because you only have 3 months to come up with this problem, come up with the idea to solve it, build the solution, start marketing the solution, and then get it to a point where people will start buying the solution. You have 3 months for that, and so you need to be strategic about it. So hopefully this short session has been useful in terms of just opening your minds into what is required, and very more, and also telling you some of the things that you will be doing as part of these labs by Bincom Cohort. I'll take a couple of questions if the coordinator will allow, and thank you.
Definitely, sir. If you have questions, please unmute your mic, and we have 2 minutes for questions. If you have questions.
Hello, good
I thought
afternoon.
somebody was raising. Okay. Amos, is that you? Please, Amos, turn on your video. It's a video
Okay.
session, so please let's see your face. All right, thank you, Amos. You can ask your question. Please.
All right, good afternoon. And thanks so much to the organization for putting this together. So I joined that was 20 minutes ago. So I don't know if this has been treated or part of what the facilitator has already mentioned. So I just wanted to have an understanding of how this is going to run, because he said between 3 and 6 months. So we want to know in specific terms how long this is going to run. And
I'm so sorry, sir. So we won't take that question because you came late, right? And these things
apologies, sir.
Yeah, so these things
apologies, sir.
Okay. Right. So it would be unfair on the other people that came early for us to be going back to things that were handled. Next time, please come early as well. Thank you. Any other questions?
I have other questions.
You can go ahead with your other questions, sir.
All right. So you mentioned 20 hours in a week. So just to understand if it's going to be self-paced for one to just go through the sites that you mentioned, or we'll be having live classes?
You will not be having classes. It is within your cohort. So you are going to be divided into a team. Between you and your other team members, you have to decide all the things that you need to do and when you people want to do it. It's up to your team members, but different assignments we are imagining will be assigned to different people. You need time to do that. Your team should also be meeting on a regular basis. We recommend you meet every day, even if it's for 15 minutes. If you are running an agile team, you generally will be running stand-ups, right? You should have a project manager who should be running stand-ups and all of that. But it's up to your team. We're not requiring that. What we would say is that by the end of your first month, you must already have decided on the problem. You must have decided on how you want to solve the problem. You must have created a pitch deck on how to solve that problem. And your mentor must have approved it by the end of your first month. If you do it earlier, it's better because it will give you more time for the building stage, which is the second month, and then the selling stage, which is the third month. Damilare, hopefully I got the structure correctly, but the coordinator will tell you exactly what the structure is, but that's just high level. In terms of the time commitment, you need time to do the Digital Business Academy in your first month, but you also need time to work with your team, the idea phase, and looking at the idea, doing customer research, going to talk to customers to say, if I build something like this, will you use it? It's up to your team how you will do it. We will not specify that. All we are specifying is by the end of the first month, your mentor must have approved your idea and the pitch deck. Damilare, did I get that correctly in terms of what's specified?
Yes, very correct, sir.
All right. Thanks so much.
Yes, you're welcome. One more question. Someone is raising, Adam. One last question before we move to the next thing on our agenda for today. I think Adam was raising
Yes,
Adam.
My question is to startup. That time you said most startups fail in their first year of business, and I wanted to ask her, how do you manage to avoid or try to improve on reducing the possibility of it failing at that time to your business is stable?
So my advice is don't try. Just run the startup in the way you believe that you should, right? And fail or succeed, whichever way, you are still fine because you are building your profile, your career, and so on. The other thing I would just mention is there are a few things that can improve the chances. If you have mentors and advisors that can give you direction, it will improve your chances. If you are highly experienced, to say that you understand the industry very well, it will improve your chances. If you understand the customer very well, particularly if you are one of the customers of your startup, meaning that you are building for yourself, right? It would improve your chances. And there are several other things along that line that you can probably Google and read about that may improve the chances of the startup. But even with all those being in place, your chances of success is generally 1 out of every 10. But then what I was trying to say is that even though your chance of success is 1 out of 10, our advice is still throw everything you've got to this baby to say, I'm going to see if this baby can survive in my hands, right? Because you never know, you may be building the next Facebook.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, Mr. Bade, our facilitator. Has been a lot of learnings in the last 20 to 30 minutes. Thank you so much, sir, for your time. And we're hoping when we call you another time, you'll be available for us, sir. All right. Okay, so I'm getting excited because we are moving to the exciting part of, okay, not like the other part have not been exciting, but the most exciting, I'll call the most exciting part of this first preliminary session, all right? So I'll be dividing everyone into different cohorts, right? I'll be dividing everyone into different cohorts now. So what would you be doing in your breakout room? Basically, you would be discussing ideas. However, you have 50 minutes to come up with one idea within your team or within your breakout room that you'll be presenting once we all come together. You have 50 minutes to discuss the different ideas you have in mind, then come up with one, putting into consideration all the things our facilitator had taught us over the last 20 to 30 minutes, put into consideration all that, come up with an idea. You can delegate it to one of your members in your breakout room to either document it, all right, so that you can present it to everyone once you come back together. So that is what we'll be doing now. All right, just give me a few minutes to put us into breakout rooms. Like I said, you have 15 minutes to come up with a particular idea your team would like to present. Okay. So once you see the notification to join your room, please just join your breakout room immediately. All right, all rooms have been open now. Can we all see hear me? All right, so once you see the notification, just join your room. Sammy, please, you can join your room. You are raising, do you want to ask a question? You can ask your question, Sammy. Sammy, you can ask your question. You are raising your hand.